Hello, and welcome back to the Art Coaching Club podcast. I am back with our first interview of season 2 with Brynn Casey. As you will hear at the end of this episode, was just so excited to get to talk to her. And so it was great that she agreed and I think had a great time chatting with me as well. And it's just a very fun episode. For those of you that don't know Brynn, she is a Georgia based artist living just north of Atlanta, and her artwork is a reflection of her favorite memories in the places that mean the most to her. They tend to be water inspired, so ocean, lake, walkways leading out to the ocean, somewhere in between. And her work always brings you back to a place of just great memories. So I'm really excited. This is such a wonderful conversation and just what it means to be an artist, how that can evolve, her growth over time. Also, we get into some obviously practical, tactical tips that I think will be really helpful for you, but mostly it's just a really great interview. And I was so fortunate to be able to talk to her, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear what she has to say. She is wonderful. So, with all of that, let's get into the conversation with Brynn Casey. Welcome to the podcast. Let's kick things off with just kind of introducing yourself, and let's start maybe with your story.
Yeah, so my name is Brynn Casey. Man, my story. I went to college for art. I've always known that's what I want to do. Be an artist, like, the game of life, like the board game. I was like, there's no other card besides artist that I want to get. I always wanted to do art, and I went to Georgia, University of Georgia, and graduated with a drawing and painting degree in 2011. Oh no, what? That's when I graduated high school. 2015. That's more like it. Graduated 2015, and then I actually apprenticed under another artist. Her name's Britt Bass Turner. She's an abstract painter and a dear friend. And it was just perfect timing. I was kind of like, should I go to grad school? I was engaged to my husband. And I was like, I don't really want to go to grad school, but I don't know what to do. And then Britt was like, you can be like my shop manager, basically. And that's when Etsy and Pinterest and just self-representing artists started to become a thing. And so I jumped in the studio with her and just kind of like observed her and just watched what she was doing. And I was like, okay, this seems pretty cool. Seems like she knows what she's doing. And I just learned like, oh, okay, that's how you talk on the phone with somebody, or that's how you communicate about this, or this is how you package that. And just learned by observing.
Mhm.
And so she taught me the ins and outs of running an art business. And meanwhile, I was painting by candlelight at
Mhm.
night, doing my personal work. And I started painting ocean water landscapes back in college. There was a popular song called Oceans by Hillsong United that came out, and I just really connected with it. And I started doing these ink drawings on paper, and they were really moody and emotional and connected with my life season. And then I started to notice a lot of other people connected with it too. And I was like, man, I don't think I'm the only one who loves, water and the symbol of water and the symbol of the ocean and what it could mean for people. And so then it started to build on itself. I got a commission request and I was like, oh my gosh, cool. Somebody likes it so much they want one. And then I got my work in a shop in Athens. And so it kind of built upon itself. And I just started exploring more and more, just like, how can I push this? What do I want to explore now? I should try to see what happens if I add a little sand. I never did sand. And what if I just did these colors? And so I'm still on that journey today.
Well, aren't we all?
I know. 10 years
I
later, I'm like, how can I change this? How can I make it different, make it better? And so, anyway, 10 years later, here we are.
Yeah, but I think you've carved out such an interesting niche for yourself because it's like you've stuck with a core subject, and I think you've kind of become known for that core subject, but I also don't feel like you're limited in that. Like I've seen you grow, I've seen you expand, at least, from the outside what I've seen. I
Yeah.
mean, how do you feel about that? Are you still loving painting water and the ocean and scenes kind of around that, or
I know,
flowers?
gosh. I feel like it's a kind of a double-edged sword because I do love the like parameters and the expectations being set and the safety of, look, this is what I do. I'm not going to be able to do a portrait for you. I do coastal landscape art. But then at the same time, I'm like, I really like how this girl paints trees. I kind of want to try that. And so it's like, and I struggle a lot with fear, and that's a core connection to me with the water too, is the whole symbolism of like walking on water, blind faith, trying something new. That is sort of part of why I connect with the ocean and water so much. But so there's also an element of fear that keeps me from trying those new things too. And so it's kind of like it's nice to have this cozy little cocoon I've built for myself, but then I'm like, am I allowed? I'm even experimenting with oil paint, and I, it's like this funny feeling where I'm like, is this allowed? Is it okay, to try something? I mean, I'm still gonna try it in my thing, like my niche, but is it okay? So I get in my head a lot, is what I'm trying.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think boundaries are actually really helpful, like in some way, like whether that be subject or
Absolutely.
palette or and I feel like I learned that in art school, but also just in life. It's like as an artist, it's like
Absolutely.
if I could do anything, I totally understand the fear aspect of okay, but that's too many options. So
Yeah.
it's finding that balance of pushing what the boundaries are, but still keeping some level of circle around what you do so that you
No.
it's like you're more creative when you have a starting point.
No, I completely agree. And there's a concept of you could spread really wide but not go very deep, or
Hmm.
you could spread really like not wide,
Narrow.
narrow, and then go incredibly deep. And that's kind of like the path I've chosen with, coastal landscape art. And even the oil paint, like it's kind of struck a new chord in me where I'm loving learning again,
Hmm.
Because once you've mastered something, it's really fun and meditative to just like walk in the studio, put the podcast on and just do it. And that there's a season
Right.
for that. But there's also that season where you're like, okay, maybe there's like a new, I don't know, like let's just explore. And so, yeah, but there is so much fear.
I know.
So
Well, I
much-
think it's important to our creativity. There's studies on this, and I'm going to botch how to explain it, but our brain needs to be pushed outside of our comfort zone. And so I think we become, I mean,
Mm,
obviously you become bored if you just become completely proficient at something, but I think for you, even going and playing with oils, even if that didn't succeed, it will make you better at the thing that you come back to. It's like hard to do because I know sometimes I'll go and dabble in something else and then I'm bad at it and I'm like,
yeah.
oh no, like
I
I'm a
know.
bad
I'm like,
artist.
I forgot how to paint. I'm a phony. I'm like, who do I think I am? You know what I mean?
I have that all the time. But I want to kind of switch back to your work with Britt Bass. I remember that era. Like I mean I know she's still an artist, but I just
Yeah.
remember seeing her everywhere. What were some of the things you learned from her just as somebody because I feel like that era was so instrumental in artists being full time and not
I
just going the
know.
gallery route. So like what were some of the things you were seeing from her that maybe you pulled into your own
And
practice?
one thing is definitely, fortunately and unfortunately, just totally personality driven and just who she is as a person. She's one of my dear friends. She lives in Roswell too, so we
Hmm.
can still cross paths and stuff. But she just is the type of person who is incredibly confident and doesn't she lets things roll off her back so much. And maybe it's insecurity or just like anxiety. I'm so in my head about things. I live there and I just watched her I remember one of her paintings got damaged and she literally shrugged it off and was like, I'm gonna go get a coffee.
I
And
need
I just
that.
love that about her where she wasn't so obsessive that
Hmm.
she allowed herself to have fun. And for me, like I said, I'm so in my head sometimes that I miss the aspects of having fun. And I know that might not be exactly what you were asking, but just first and foremost, I think I learned some intangible things from her that were
Hmm.
like, it's important to have fun and it's important to realize it's not that big of a deal. Try
Right.
something. This is supposed to be fun. This is what you've dreamt of your whole life to be an artist. Just have fun. So that's sort of like an intangible, I would say. But tangibly, she taught me a lot. So her mom is an interior designer and I
Okay.
still work with her. She's in Roswell, right down the street. She taught me how to communicate with designers. She taught me what it looks like to offer a designer discount as an artist so you guys can mutually benefit from the relationship. I didn't really understand what that meant. She taught me, like, hey, if you're going to do like wholesale, here's a pricing structure for that. She taught me Here's how you photograph art and how you bring it into Photoshop to make prints. Here's how you package those prints. And if it's a really big one, maybe you should roll it up like this and put it in a tube. But and then the little things like, but be careful because if you roll it too much, then this. But if you roll it not enough, that like just the little
Yeah.
hands-on things that like you just it's invaluable experience to learn. Oh, that's the hardware she bought to wire her own paintings. I'm going to buy it. So to this day, I still use that same hardware. You know what I mean? So just like everything from logistical things like how to ship art to little tactile things that you learn by watching and you're like, "Oh, that was really smart." And she's like, "Well, you just learn by doing." You know what I mean?
Well, and you get there so much faster because I feel like there's so many of those things I just had to figure out. And it's like, you ship the
Hmm.
thing and it gets damaged. You're like, all right,
Yep.
not gonna make that mistake again.
Yes.
Or you wire it and the wire, I don't know, like comes unraveled. Or there's just the little
Hmm.
things where you're like, I have to keep doing this. Or, the designer thing. It's you try to work with a designer and then they're asking for a discount and you're like, what is a discount? Like, how much do I give? What all of that stuff. But I want to come back to just the fun concept because this is something I see in so many artists, but I don't think it's talked about enough. It's I work with so many artists who, want to go full time and then they go
Yep.
full time and because art is so personal, we like put all this pressure on it.
Yep.
And I don't know, it's hard because I'm never going to say it's not personal, it's not important, but it is. It sounds like she did a really good job of like remembering that this is a job and not that serious, but also it's
Hmm.
your dream job, so like have fun with it. And when it stops being fun,
Absolutely.
I tell people this all the time. I'm like, you don't have to do this. So if it stops being fun and it starts becoming burdensome, make it your dream job again. Make it fun again. And
Yeah.
there's ways to do that outside of just like even when you feel like things are hard because work is hard. But
Yeah.
I think that's really invaluable and something that I don't think gets talked about in like podcasts and with other artists and stuff.
And it's that funny concept of like, oh, well, I monetized my hobby and now it's not my hobby anymore. And then you're like, well, isn't that the dream? I actually talked about this with my counselor the other week because I feel like as an artist, there's those seasons where there's like a spark with your work and you're just vibing and you're like, I can't help but get back in the studio. Like after kids go to bed, I'm in there, I'm pouring a glass of
Yeah.
wine and having the best time. And then there's seasons where it's like, and the term she used was it's kind of like a marriage. And when you're married for a long time, like there's seasons where it's just like this is a long-term relationship and like it's not always going to be like all like
Fireworks,
fireworks
rainbows.
and
Yeah.
butterflies and going on dates and it's like honestly that's kind of a beautiful image specifically for Patrick and I. We've got 3 young kids and our marriage right now is wonderful. He's my best friend in the entire world. But like we are in just the grind phase. We're
Yeah.
partners and it's like a long term relationship rather than like a little wistful love affair. You know what I mean?
Really.
And I feel that way about my work sometimes with like the fun concept. And sometimes in a relationship, you have to work to bring fun, you know? You're like, all right, let's
Yeah.
schedule a date. Let's go to a concert. Let's just have some fun. And so honestly, for me, like with the oil paint, I'm like, this is my way of rekindling that fire. This is a commitment I've made to my work, myself, my family, and my work is like it almost feels like my fourth child, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like nurturing that relationship. Sometimes you just have to, I don't know, shake things up like you do in a real relationship.
I've never heard that comparison before, but I think it makes so much sense. And it's actually so clarifying for me because I feel like I go through such, especially with doing other stuff, I go through such
Yep.
waves with my own creative practice
Yep.
where I feel like I just came out of like a couple of very creative months and then now I'm in this phase where I'm like I have all these ideas, but it's hard to get out of your own head of like, is this marketable? She says like
Mhm.
you just have to play. And I'd love to hear from you. How do you, I mean, I know you're working with oils right now, but how do you find that balance of, I mean, this is my business, so I do need to have some thought about
Mhm.
is this going to sell, but also to be creative, to keep it fun, to keep the spark alive, I need to also play. And how do you kind of divvy some of that up?
Oh my gosh, Haley, I'm like, you're not asking the right girl. Because like I said, I am so, and this is super vulnerable, but I am to a degree, to a fault. I am always such an open book, and I'm like, I literally don't care. I don't care that people know that sometimes get insecure or anxious. Literally don't care. But to that point, like I get so in my head sometimes I'll start painting something and it'll be like somebody bought this painting once that looked like this, so maybe I should do that again. And then it's like, well, I remember I made a painting like this and it didn't sell, and so that must mean it wasn't good. And I don't know, I was excited about it, but I don't know, maybe it wasn't. And I get in my head like that, and it kills creativity so much. It's just an active, incredibly active mental fight where you have to do a lot of self-talk, I guess. And I mean, there are times when I'm painting and I'll be like, Brynn, just have fun. Just have fun. Stop thinking about, of course, I'm not going to paint a portrait of like a clown and think like this is going to be great. But like trying a new idea or a new concept or a new like when I first started doing my beach walk collection, which is like those seagrass paintings, I was almost paralyzed with fear. It was such a breakthrough. I'm learning as somebody who doesn't like trying new things. I'm an Enneagram 3 and I really like to be the expert at things, but it holds me back from like so much joy. And so
Yeah.
like I remember I tried out this new gym 2 or 3 years ago and I was so like I do not like feeling like the new girl. You walk in and
Yeah.
everybody's like, she's never been here. She doesn't know how to adjust her bike. She doesn't know like,
Mhm.
and it's so much pride. I mean, it's so much just pride. Like, who cares what people think? But now it's my favorite place in the world to go, and I could have missed out on that. That whole thing. I look forward to going to that gym anytime I get to go. But I could have never gone just because of my pride.
I'm also a three, so I can
Oh, my
completely relate
girl.
to this. And I think and this is very, I'm not saying you're this way. For me, it's like I don't think I like the unknown and like being bad at
Hmm.
things. And like it
Hmm.
requires being bad at things before you can break through. And so I think that's why
Absolutely.
anything that's like outside of our comfort zone, like going to the new gym, totally relate to that. We moved to a new
Hmm.
city and I'm like, oh, I gotta like go to this thing and like who's the
Yep.
instructor and like do people have their
What
bike
does
that they
anybody
always like to be
care?
on? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff. But even, we talked about this earlier, like expanding into new subject matter. And then you're like, well, what if I put it out there and people don't like it? And then all of a sudden I'm bad at it. And then they think I'm a bad
Mhm.
artist. But I do think what I've learned is the best things in my life, the biggest breakthroughs, the biggest business experiences, like everything, like good, bad, personal, business, whatever, like all of that has come from being in almost outside of my comfort zone, uncomfortable situations, which is against
Mm,
our nature, which is
I
just, it's
know.
such an interesting dichotomy.
It is. And that's super encouraging for me and reminding me of with this, you know, exploration with oil paint. It's like it almost makes you feel like a student again, which is fun.
Hmm.
But for us can be hard when you're like, oh, the first study I did, like, it looks like a brand new painter did that. And it's like, well, you kind of are being a brand new painter with oils. Like, it's okay. And I think it's a different feeling walking into the studio knowing, like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to keep practicing. I've been watching tutorial videos and trying to take notes and studying a new thing.
Yeah.
But like we said, what if some of my favorite, best, most breakthrough art is just around the corner from these painful studies and I just didn't do them because they made me uncomfortable?
Well, I also think my biggest breakthrough amazing art comes from doing the painful bad thing, but it's like the side thought I had doing the painful bad thing
Yes.
that I'm like, okay, yeah, these studies are bad, but like, what if I did this? And then I go down like the
Yeah.
side path of the amazing breakthrough. So it's like you have to
Yes.
give yourself the space and the margin in what you're doing to have the breakthrough, is how I always think about it.
Absolutely. And I know it's so funny. We're in a season of life where, like I said, we've got 3 young kids. We've kind of structured our life around, I don't need to be providing so much financially right now. Just like the pressure of carrying through or caring for all 3 of our kids, plus holding that on my back could be a lot. But it's funny because, again, I love my counselor. We talk a lot, and it's like
Mhm.
a almost that pressure was sort of like a comfort zone in disguise because it was like, well, I can't try anything new because I can't afford to. But now
Yeah.
that I have more freedom, it's like, oh, the pressure
Well, it
was
comes
kind
back
of
to that
nice.
like boundary thing we talked about. You had a little
Mhm.
fence around what you were going to do, so it made it easier. And now that you've kind of widened that fence a little bit, you're like, oh, Now what?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I relate to all of this, and I think it's again, it's I talk to my therapist about this often, and I'm like, I want more margins. I want more free time. I want more time to do all these things, and then I build in that, and then I'm like, what am I doing?
I
Like I need to go be
know.
working, or I need to go be doing something productive, or I feel like I don't even know what to do with the new thing. I find that
Same.
really relatable,
It's
honestly.
so funny. She and I joke all the time because it's like this is the very thing you wanted. You want to be more free and just like Britt was, just having fun. And then you're building that into your life and your schedule, and you're suddenly like, oh, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. We then put the pressure on ourselves. I don't know. It's like I feel like I've put this pressure on myself for the freedom to like make something happen. Like I'm like, oh, I have all this more free time. I'm gonna like make some magical new collection, or it's
Oh
gonna lead
yeah.
to, and it's like, no, it's not supposed to lead to anything.
I know. It's such a funny dichotomy. It's like we always want what we can't have.
Yeah. But I think that's again, it's always a work in progress. And I think this is a really important conversation to have because I was talking to my husband about this recently, and it's like I'm at a place in my business where I would have been thrilled. So I'm 30, it's a big milestone. Look where
Mhm.
you are. And I'm hitting all these goals that I remember like being 22 or whenever I started
Of
my
course,
business, like
yeah.
being like, oh my gosh, when I'm 30, like I want to be doing X, Y, and Z. And it's like I've achieved a lot of that. And yet now I'm here and I'm like, this doesn't really feel like we're done or like we're at the top of some mountain.
Yeah.
We never sit and enjoy, I guess, the moment we're in. It's, well, what's the next thing? And I don't know, maybe it's just this inherent pressure we put on ourselves as creatives or as business owners. I'm not sure, but I think it ties into kind of what we're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And as Enneagram 3 is.
Yes.
We are never satisfied. I know. It's almost that funny, like feeling almost before a holiday. As you can tell, I love metaphors. So it's like,
Mhm.
oh, Christmas is coming, and you almost get sad that it's over before it's even December 25th. Because it's like, well, the lead up. So for me, it's almost like when you're in that flow in the studio and you're like, oh, yes. But then it's like the collection's coming. And then once you release it, it's like, okay.
There.
And then there's
Now
just
what?
always that feeling of what's next,
Uh,
you know?
well, I'd love to know, just talking about kind of what's next in collections, how are you thinking about right now? Because I know things are shifting constantly, but how are you thinking about actually selling the work? Are you still working in collections and launches? Are you relying
Mhm.
more on social media? How are you thinking about just your day to day getting things out there?
Right now, in this very moment, I'm grateful to have a couple commissions that are, you know, commissions are nice because especially when you have a great client you're working with, I've got this giant canvas I need to finish stretching like right behind me. And it's nice because of course it's guaranteed income. It almost is sort of like okay, I have these boundaries and it's fun to stay within these boundaries because I know what I'm doing, but like I can do this. So commissions for me I'm very grateful for. And I mean, my whole career, really, I've worked in collections. And for the last 9 months, I've had a baby with me at home. And so I've been dabbling, and there's a couple pieces back here. I've been like, okay, I can finish these up, but it's not really a body of work. I'm just finishing what I can. And so I have a couple pieces right now I want to wrap up and kind of present as like a late summer collection. I recently applied to a local art show. It's at a school where lots of emerging artists and designers and people who love the arts come. And that's something I haven't done in a long time. And I don't know if I got in or not, so fingers crossed. I think that could be a fun way to mix things up because right now I'm feeling a little odd about social media and the way that it used to serve my business. It isn't really hitting that way anymore. I took a couple courses and have invested a lot of time in how to do ads. And so I turned those off as I was on maternity leave, but as I'm getting back into it, I've been like turning them back on and trying to find new people who just love either the beach or art or love watching people paint or whatever. Just trying to find new people through ads. That's something I've been doing. So we'll see. That's a good question though, because I'm asking myself the same thing. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about social media right now.
Yeah, can we talk about that? I feel like a lot of people don't know about social media right now.
Yeah, it's a little scary as somebody who relied heavily on it. I mean, literally, I could just post, hey, this painting's available.
Mhm.
Thousands of people would see that, and then one of those would buy it. And
Right.
now it's like, okay, the painting's available. I have to fight to get anybody to see this, and then chances are, And so I'm just, yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I was like, I'm going to apply to this art fair and mix things up a little bit and try to meet some people in person and get to know people in a different way or get to find new buyers and collectors outside of social media. Yeah, I'm not loving performing at all. And that's something that I feel like is maybe it's not necessary, maybe it is, but I'm like, I don't like this game. I don't like the performance game, and I don't like the doing annoying things to try to get people to remember me thing. So I'm in a really strange spot with it too. I don't really have a clean cut answer for you besides just you're not alone if you're feeling the same way. And I would love any and all inspiration on how else to find new collectors. And maybe it's time we are getting back into galleries.
I think people are craving in-person stuff more, for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
I think we've seen that in a lot of different scenarios. And
for
there's a lot of
sure.
studies on like run clubs and people want to do things in person and analog and all that good stuff. But I also just think actual experience, what I'm seeing is I even if it's they end up buying from my website, I'm making so many more deep, real connections with people in
Mm,
person or at least Zoom. I now feel like I know you. Instagram just is what it is right now, and it is
yeah.
very performative and it feels like a show and it feels like I have to jump through all these hoops. And I think it's weird. What I'm noticing for artists is I think we've put so much pressure on Instagram because it worked for so long that we're
Mhm.
just grasping that one day it's going to work again. And what I'm telling a
Yeah,
lot of people is it's like, just don't you don't have to do it. There's other ways to sell your work. And I know that's scary, but I think we everyone is clinging so tightly to it because it just feels like the thing. But
like the
I
safe
think
thing.
and it's like I think there's a place for it, but it's okay if it's your business card. It's okay if three people liked your post. In my perspective, I'm like, it's okay if the thing didn't work.
Yeah,
If we could take the 40% of our, I'm just making this up, but like
yeah,
time that we're putting into stressing over doing the reel that performs well and put that into being more creative, making a better painting, going and meeting someone in person, I think our businesses long term are going to be better because of it. It's just a very
absolutely.
hard mental shift to make when the thing that's always
Yeah.
worked feels like it should still be working.
I know. This now I'm interviewing you. What kinds of things do you feel like are different options? What are you encouraging other artists? Are you encouraging them with other online platforms? Are you encouraging them with applying to shows? What's your
Yeah,
experience?
I think it depends person to person what you
Yeah.
can do and what you can manage. I mean, I even personally, I'm looking to shows and galleries, and I'm like, how can I get out in the world more? So I think anything
Yeah.
that is great. I also think when you are on the platform, I'm seeing actually a lot. I'm seeing more success posting less frequently. So I'm like, post once a week and call it a day. And like, because I still
Yeah.
think Instagram has a place,
Sure.
but I think posting less frequently and then when you are sharing, not being so serious about it. I think Instagram used to be very buttoned up. And I think now it's like I've had more success because people feel like they know me. And I think that's because
Hmm.
of this podcast, but also just speaking to coaching when I just got over myself and started just talking to the camera and being like, hey, this is what I'm talking
Hmm.
about and doing it in my own voice. And I know
Yep.
that's from a coaching perspective, but that's when my business really started people taking off because people recognized me. They're like, "Oh, that's Haley. Haley is associated with this thing." And I think as an
Absolutely.
artist, if you can find a way to do that, whether and that doesn't even have to be on Instagram. I just think Instagram's an easy platform.
Absolutely.
Once
Yeah.
you become known and associated with the thing and people feel like they know you, that's when things people want to pay more for something where they feel like they know the person. And that doesn't fully answer your question because that's speaking to social media, but I think taking that mindset and thinking about, okay, do I need to make people feel like they know me because they're meeting me in person or I'm doing a show at a gallery or I send weekly emails but they're not polished. It's fully in my tone or it's a voice note type thing. I think
Mm.
doing more of that type of work goes a really long way.
Yeah, I love that. I totally agree. I think a lot of people buy the art because they connect with it, of course, but then there's
Yeah.
that extra piece where it's like, but I love the artist too. Like,
Yeah.
I love who they are as a person, and so this just is like a holistically great experience.
I think it makes you stand out from the noise a little bit too,
Mm,
because frankly, there's a lot of artists out there. There's a lot of people selling out there. There's a lot available.
yeah.
But I know I posted something yesterday and it's artists collect other artists' work. And it was me just hanging some of the artwork in my house from artists I like.
Yeah.
And a lot of the art I was looking through, I'm like, these are all artists I've met in person or I've interviewed on the podcast, or I just really love them because I feel like I know
Yeah.
them. And I think when I started thinking about that, I'm like, okay, well, how can I facilitate that in other people? Who is my ideal customer? Therefore, how do I speak to them? And not like in a
Absolutely.
manufactured way, but just how do I reach them? Where are
Yep.
they? And like, what's going to resonate with them?
Absolutely. It's so funny because I feel like a lot of times artists are like, only other artists follow me. And I'm like, I collect work from other artists. So, like, who cares if they're another artist, if they're learning from you or connecting with you? It's like some artists are also collectors,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
definitely. I also was talking to an artist about this, and they're like, I only have a lot of artists are like, I only have other artists following me. And I was talking to her about it, and she's an artist whose account's grown decently on Instagram, and she was having
Mhm.
success. And she's like, I love when other artists follow me because artists know the game. They
Yeah,
interact, they comment, they reshare, they're genuine. Whereas I think that's another thing with Instagram, and I think we just need to understand it. It's the everyday person. I always think about like my mom or my husband, like people
hmm,
that don't rely on Instagram for their business. They aren't going and liking and commenting and sharing, and that's not how they're using
100%.
the platform. They're using it as just like I need to decompress or whatever they're using it for. And so I think when we can come to terms with that, where it's like, okay, we're not some viral like meme account, so we're not getting blasted everywhere. But are we, for the four people that do see this post, is it doing what it needs to do? I think just making that shift, I think, is helpful.
I feel like one thing I want to learn more about is Pinterest. I feel like Pinterest is a fun place. I love hanging out on Pinterest. I like it more than Instagram.
I love Pinterest.
It's so inspiring. And I'm just like, that's a place I want to learn more about and learn how I can share more and maybe figure out ways to expose my work there. And I know that's still on the internet, but like I said, I know I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but with three young kids, I'm like,
Yeah.
I had to jump through hoops just to do this conversation.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. You're probably my advice for you probably wouldn't be go do like shows every weekend.
Yeah, gosh, though, that would be fun.
Yeah, but I think
Um,
Pinterest, if you're already in the Facebook Meta ads game, if
yeah,
you take that knowledge and it's a little different, but pull it over to Pinterest, I think there's a lot of advertising success to be had on Pinterest. I think Pinterest is also great without that, but just
for
like
sure.
because you have that baseline knowledge, I've found my ad dollars have gone farther on Pinterest
Mm,
outside of holiday season when you're competing with
the
anthropology or
world.
whatever. But but it can go really far. So I think
Yeah,
Pinterest is great. I think artists have a fear around Pinterest, people like stealing their works and things like that. But my perspective is if they could steal it off Pinterest, they could steal it off Instagram.
absolutely.
Not to be negative, but I'm like, I'm not going to neglect a platform that's 40% of my web sales or web traffic comes from Pinterest. I can't
Oh,
neglect this
cool.
platform.
That's amazing.
I think it's just
Uh,
time. Like, it's just
yeah.
so much stuff out there. But if, again, I'm interviewing you, I don't know, I'm talking so much.
Oh,
But
I love
Pinterest,
this. It's a conversation.
yeah, I would say Pinterest, if you can just connect it with your website, connect it to your
Yep.
Instagram, and have things auto post as a starting point. Like, for me, some of those just randomly
Just
do
pop off.
well, and then I'll just
Yeah.
change the link to, instead of linking to my Instagram, I'll have it linked to the product page. That's
Mhm.
just a really good low-hanging starting point. For you
Yeah,
don't need
that's
to take
really
the
easy.
course, you don't need to pin 12 times a day. Like, just start with
Yeah.
that and then kind of see what performs well and go from there.
I love that advice. I really appreciate that.
Good. I'm
You know,
glad.
that's just a fun. It's fun figuring out the puzzle of marketing. That's I think part of my Enneagram 3 popping in. That's I like the puzzle of marketing and learning what works, what doesn't work, and finding new ways to be, oh, that worked. Oh, I wonder why. That's so fun. So, anyway, that's encouraging to me and inspiring.
Yeah. Well, and I think also I always think about what do I find fun, like whether that be fun to
Yeah,
consume or fun to do. I'm working on this digital magazine right now. I've done one before and I'm doing another one.
cool.
And I'm like, I still subscribe to magazines. I love
Mhm.
magazines. I'm very nostalgic in that way.
Yeah.
And so I was like, why would it, like this is fun for me to make. So it's less painful marketing, but I also think it'll therefore be like fun for people to consume. I think that's like advice I would give to artists when it comes to marketing.
Mm,
Like stop doing things you hate. Like I feel like it's like, oh, I have to market and I have to film this thing. And it's like, you don't have to. Like again, coming back to like
totally.
do what's fun and it's probably gonna be received better.
Absolutely. Now you've got my wheels turning. I love it. I've got homework.
Yeah, well, that wasn't where I saw this going, but it's fine.
No, I love this. I homework in a fun way. Now I can
Yeah.
go watch my tutorials on oil painting and I can do some Pinterest.
Can we talk about designers for a little bit? I'd love to know
Sure.
how that's grown your business, if it's helped your business, what you've learned just working with interior designers. I feel like a lot of artists have questions about that.
For sure. I'll put it out at the forefront. I want to work with more interior designers. I have worked with a couple over the years, not honestly, I haven't done much outreach. Like I
Mhm.
haven't reached out and pitched like here's a I think sorry, I'm kind of putting my thoughts together here, but if I were talking to another artist who's like I don't really know how to connect with designers. I don't have like a friend of a friend whose mom is a thing, like just to get me going. I would say find some designers and maybe put together a pitch, even not like a pitch deck, but like a beautiful PDF introduction and say, hey, this is what I have to offer. By the way, here's my designer discount. So that way you can benefit when we make a good partnership. And I would just love for you to consider me for future jobs. Just know I'm always here. I can do custom work. This is what I offer. I have prints, I blah, blah, blah. And kind of just presenting yourself in a way that's confident. And it's like, how are they supposed to know who you are if you don't introduce yourself? And for me, I think I can get into the rut of sitting around being like, why aren't they finding me? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, or you can just get out there and put your boots on and say, all right, I'm going to go out and like almost cold call these people. And if they don't reply, then nothing really changes for you. Your pride might hurt a little, but if you send out 10 emails and one email's back, you never know.
Exactly. Well, and I think that comes to the bigger conversation of I think we feel like we're doing all this work, let's say again on Instagram, and it's waiting for people to find us, where sometimes we
Yes,
take that power back and just go email them. Their businesses, you can
absolutely.
find their email, you can find their assistant's email really easily.
Mhm.
Go shoot your shot. That's
Absolutely.
way better than posting a million times and waiting for them to find you. I think that's
Agreed.
true for galleries, for designers, for opportunities. I mean, I just as an example, the other week I found this girl. So I paint girls reading, and I found
Hmm.
this girl who had just like the funniest book talk, like book recommendations, and I just sent her a DM and I was like, hey, like, can we do a collab post? I think what you're doing is very on brand. Like, can we do it with
Fun.
my art somehow? I was like, I don't even know what my idea is, but I threw it out there, and
Sounds fun.
she posted some collab posts and it was like my artwork with what type of reader are you? And it got like 80,000 views or something. And then like
Fun.
neither one of us is a huge account. And I'm like, just it's not that serious. Just go shoot your shot
Yes.
with people and see what happens. And then I
It's
sent her
not
a
that
print because I was
serious.
like, you're great.
Yeah, and I think so back to your question about designers. In the relationships that I have had, I've had nearly all of them that I have worked with have been repeat clients. So establishing a relationship with interior designers has been so helpful, especially for my commission business, because a client will come and be like, they'll look at this designer's portfolio and they'll be like, oh, I love that art, but it needs to be this size. And so then they'll come to me. I did one earlier this year that was like, they loved this piece. They want it to be more this color palette. They need it this size. And I'm like, done. Great.
Great.
So simple. Such an awesome, again, repeat situation where it's like, okay, if we can get a good relationship, you like working with me, I like working with you. So once you can get your foot in the door through confident cold calling, cold emailing, I think presenting yourself, it's important to present yourself in a confident, I know what I'm doing, almost like fake it till you make it. I've done this before. Here's my discount. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Just presenting yourself in a certain, rather than being like, would you maybe consider just looking at this attachment of this one piece I did? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's all in the pitch, and also again, you have nothing to lose. You'll just end up at the same place you started if nobody emails you back anyway.
Exactly. Well, I also think too, even if they don't say yes or they don't email back or it's not a good fit at this time, I'm like, at least they know who I am now. As I
Absolutely.
grow, maybe I do something a year from now that's different and catches their eye, and now they have awareness. Like, I'm not,
Uh-huh.
I tell artists that all the time, apply to the gallery, apply to the show. If they say no, I mean, I run the Scouted Studio. I'm like, there are so many artists who the second year, I'm like, well, now I follow you. I know who you are. I'm that name is going to register more. I now have
Absolutely.
awareness. So I think that's something to think about too, that it's like a no could be a yes later. It never hurts. I think it only helps you to start sooner.
Yeah. And I think it's important, and I know this is speaking, preaching to the choir myself. It's important that when you do receive a no, it's not a no, your work stinks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ew, I would never consider you. It's like usually a no, like our for a gallery, we're not accepting new submissions right now. Or
Yeah.
like, no, our clients don't connect with this type of work, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not a good fit. It doesn't mean you as an artist are like, you should go bury your head in a hole. And it's
Right.
hard because it is so personal for us. I mean,
Yeah.
again, preaching to myself, my work is so personal. And I'm like, well, I think it's beautiful. You know what I mean?
But I think that I always say that speaks to if a gallery says no, let's say, and it's because our audience doesn't. And basically, they're saying we probably don't have the audience right now that's going to purchase this.
Yeah,
It is better for you to not then give them your work and it's going to sit there like,
absolutely.
let's find another path to sell it.
Yep,
And I also say this, and I mean this in the best way possible. We're not that unique. And if I think my work is beautiful, there is someone else out there that thinks it's beautiful. I am
for
not
sure.
so one of a kind that I'm the only person on earth that thinks this type of thing is pretty. And I
Yeah.
think that gives me comfort. I'm like, I'm unique in some ways, but I'm not that unique. If I
Yes,
think it's pretty, other people probably think it's attractive too.
absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I hope that answers your question about designers.
It definitely does. I think one of the other things I want to touch on with you is you mentioned ads and just obviously you've grown your business in terms of like what to invest in as an artist. I know obviously everyone has different
Mm.
budgets when and how far along you are, but what do you think is more worth it? Let's say if somebody was newer and they're like, okay, do I invest in a website or in an email list or in photography, or what has worked for you, I guess is what I'm asking.
Ooh. If you had to choose, maybe for me, it's like, okay, if I had to choose the order, because it's like yes to all
Yeah,
of them. But it's like if I had to choose in order of like, okay, I'm talking with somebody this is the
priority.
first year out, I would say first invest in time in your work and make work that you're proud of and ready to present to the world. Second, I would my gut is saying a photo shoot, a couple of them, because you can't build a website with like photos off your phone. I mean,
Hmm.
a couple here and there, but like you've got to have a strong presentation because again, we're fighting for so much for attention,
Yeah.
advertising. It's like, I'm over here. It's got to look beautiful and it's got to look high end. And if you're going to be asking top dollar for your work, you need to present yourself in that way. And I think with our world with social media and Pinterest, and it's like if I hop onto somebody's website right now and I see lame images, or I'm like, oh, like it's a little disappointing. So I think some photo shoots, it's just really important to have an awesome log of your work and you with your work, you presenting your work, you working on your work. I
Yeah.
think photos are really, really important because then you could build your website using those photos. You know what I
You can
mean?
have, I was talking to my assistant, shout out Lauren, who she does websites if anyone needs help. But we were talking about this. I
Nice.
was like, you can have a crappy website template and like DIY it, and it looks amazing if you have great photos.
Yep.
In reverse, you can have the best, well designed website ever, but if you have bad photos, it looks like a bad website. I don't think people give the advice you just gave that often, but I
Mhm.
completely agree. And there's ways to get photos done affordably, which we can
Yep.
talk about. But yes, I'm
Yep.
in agreement. I think starting with real quality photos is a game changer. And I've worked with artists who have 50 followers on Instagram, but they've had great photos of their work. And I just assume they've been in business a long time. So, like,
Absolutely. Gives you credibility.
it does.
and respectability, and it shows you're taking it seriously. And I think also a really, really, really important thing is the way that you display your work. If it's a photo of your work, if you're putting it in poor lighting, in a poorly designed space with lame, I don't want to be rude, but if you're presenting it in a high-end way, people are going to receive it in a high-end way. So
Yes.
I've invested in photo shoots where I literally just borrowed somebody's house to take pictures of my art in, you know?
Same. Same.
And so it's like, well, your vibe is like the ideal buyer for fine art. So why don't I just show them this is how it could look? You know what I mean?
Well, it's connecting the dots for the buyer. We're
Mhm.
creative. We love our work and we're like, our house, it's beautiful, but like some people need you to hold their hand a little bit and say,
Yeah.
this is how great your house will look when you have my
Yeah.
art in it.
Yeah. So I think photos, because the first thing I wanted to say, of course, was like, do a great website. But it's kind
Yeah.
of like, well, you can't have a great website without great pictures.
Yeah.
So that's my advice.
I think that's great advice. What do you think about email lists and like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would say start immediately. Start building your list immediately. Don't like wait until some revelation or some number of followers on Instagram or whatever. Start it immediately. And even if you only have 50 subscribers, they don't have to know that. When you send out a newsletter or when you send out a sale email or a blast about a new collection, like, hey, everyone, could be 50,000 people, could be 50 people that
Yeah.
nobody needs to know.
Well, and I always think you don't really need that many people see. You just need the right people. I
Mhm.
mean, odds are you're probably not selling 50 paintings. You're probably trying to sell 10. And if you
Absolutely.
see 50 people, it's like, okay, those odds are okay.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. So it's quality over quantity every time. You know what I mean? Truly. And so I would say immediately because the more you can become a familiar voice, like in their
Mhm.
email inbox, plus Instagram, plus other ways they could hear your name. That's just another way of reminding them of like, I'm over here.
Well, it's like staying top of mind. I think
Yeah.
that's it. I don't know. It's like you want to be the artist people think of when they think of, oh, art, you should talk to this person. Like you want to be
Yeah.
like word of mouth is so important. You want to be top of mind for people because that's also how you get recommended. And just
Absolutely.
even when I like think about we our bedroom is not we didn't just move, it's been a year, but like our bedroom has like nothing in it, and I'm like, I really
Same.
want like a cool piece of artwork in there. And obviously I'm not gonna go just Google artists. I'm gonna think like, okay, who
Totally.
are like the artists that I really like that I've talked to
Yeah.
recently or that and so, and I don't think I'm unique in that. I mean, obviously I'm unique in that I live in the art world every day, but I think that is
Hmm.
how people work. When you need a new sofa, you probably think like, oh, what are the brands that sell that? You don't just jump
Absolutely.
to whatever. So yeah, I think
Totally.
that's very important. Last thing I want to talk about is you've kind of expanded. So you've done prints, you've done different things. Like, how do you
Mhm.
think about extending your brand beyond just artwork, and how do you make that
Yeah.
work?
Gosh, I think for me, I've expanded a little bit and it's all been mostly like two-dimensional products. So like I
Hmm.
have journals that I've been doing for a really long time and they're just like really sweet gift items or I mean, I even give them as gifts all the time. And it's just an
Yeah.
easy way to translate two-dimensional art, two-dimensional journal. Great.
Mhm.
And print, of course, I do open edition prints. And so it's like a great like entry level if somebody's like, well, I can't afford an original yet, but like I really want your work. And so if you can afford, you could get a small print
Yeah.
or I do prints on paper or prints on canvas. And so it's like, okay, the next step up would be like a stretched canvas print, which that piece right there,
Yeah.
that one is a stretched canvas print
Wow.
and that's an
Amazing.
original. Yeah, so it's kind of a nice in between for now kind of thing. If you want the original one day, obviously please come back, but this is also a great option. And so another thing that we do is calendars. Every year I skipped one year and it was so many regrets. I wish I could go back. I feel so bad, but it was the right move at the time. But we're getting ready to order our first samples of our calendars for 2027. And that has been such a fun way to engage, almost it's like a lower investment item for people. Because,
Yeah.
everybody that I know, a lot of them don't just have like thousands and thousands of dollars to drop on fine art. And I think it also has a lot to do with your personal bubble of who you're surrounded with. And we're in our early 30s. I don't have many friends yet who are like dropping
Right.
thousands of dollars just on a Tuesday. And of course, I'm hoping to expand, my reach to my goal is to have something not for everyone because you don't want to be like everything for everyone, but like, okay, you come here, you love my work. Let's get you set up with a print at first, and then you can start saving up for that, original piece. And then at the end of the day, if you want to get a commission, that's like the big ticket item. I think what I'm trying to say is there's kind of like an entry point for everyone.
Yeah.
Um, and I do greeting cards and I make sure that my logo's on the back. So like maybe
Yeah.
somebody sends out a greeting card because it's like, oh, I thought they would love this. Hopefully that person flips it over and is like, oh, Brynn Casey, I'm gonna look her up or whatever. And so I hope that answered your question.
It did.
But
I think also that's a great way to get repeat clients. Like I think
hmm
I have a lot of art. I don't have all art by the same artist.
Yep,
It's hard to get somebody to buy multiple originals. I mean, one, we only have so many
absolutely.
walls. And so it's good for that. And then I also think I have a lot of prints and original art in my home. And I
Same,
think people
same.
think like, oh, prints like an afterthought. And I'm like, it's a great stepping stone for a lot of people. Some of the
Absolutely.
like biggest artists I love, like I'm 30. I'm not dropping thousands of dollars on a Tuesday. But
Right.
I just got a gift card to Artfully Walls, which has like a
Yeah.
lot of prints, and
I
I
work
balled
on our
out.
photo walls.
Great. If I have any money
Come
left, I'll get
on
another
over.
print. I got tons of stuff, and they have great
Yeah,
stuff also, like great
agreed.
website. But I think that's something important for people to hear too. Prints can still feel like they're premium, and
Absolutely.
it's a great stepping stone, but it's not. I think
Mhm.
some artists are like, well, I have my originals, and then like people that can't afford them just get prints. And I'm like, sometimes it's like people still get prints that like want your original one day later.
Absolutely.
Just gotta save up for it.
No, absolutely. Also, I think it's all in how you present your prints. Because, like, you
Yeah,
can frame it in like a dinky little Hobby Lobby frame, or you could mat it and you can even get it custom framed. I was at a framer yesterday framing a print for a client, and it's going to look really nice.
yeah.
And yeah, it's a Giclée on paper, but it's going to look really good. And it's all in the presentation too.
Well, that
That's
comes
because
back to patient is everything. And that's why I think you said, like, I don't want to just do like everything for everyone. Like, you want to have different price points, but I think like those price points still need to feel premium in their presentation, even if it is like
absolutely.
just a journal or just a calendar. It's like, but it's a nice calendar. So I think that's really important for people to understand. It's like, don't just
Yeah,
do the cheapest version and hope that'll be a line
absolutely.
item. Because I think that sometimes is what I see this on Instagram with like gurus being like, here's how to sell your thing and sell hundreds of it or whatever. And it's like, art is different. Art is a luxury item. So you still have to like
Yeah.
treat even the things that are at a lower price point as the luxury item of that price
Absolutely.
point.
I mean, for my calendars, like just Google custom calendar template and like,
Right.
but we use a local printer. I went to the place, I felt every single paper and I used
Yeah.
a pen on it to see if it would smudge when I wrote on it. And then I liked the feeling of how when it flipped, it made a loud whooshy noise like a poster board. It's like those are the things that take you from, oh, you kind of just put this in a template online and now you're acting like it to like, no, this is nice.
Yeah.
If I always say if I could just get people to get my calendar in their hands, then they would be like, ooh, I take a lot of pride in it. But it's like, this is nice. You can tell she worked hard to design this, to choose the art that can coincide with that season of the month. And
Then it's like such a good stepping stone to everything else you do. Like you never want anything to be a disappointment. Not that I think it would be, but like I remember I bought a print from somebody one time and it just was so like not great when it arrived. It was just kind of like
mm,
not great quality. And I was like,
yeah,
I didn't pay a lot of money for this, but like, meh. And you
yeah,
want instead that reaction of, oh my gosh, this is so much better than I expected. It's so beautiful. It's
yeah,
thick. I can write on it. It's not smudging. I mean, obviously talking about calendars. And
yeah,
because then I'm like, okay, well, her art's going to be the same. It's not going to arrive and be smudged in the corner or something. Like it's going to
absolutely.
really premium quality.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with every order I send out, I just ordered new. Britt taught me this term. She called it swag.
Oh,
And I was
love.
like, I just ordered new swag where it's like everybody who orders from me gets this cute little coupon. It's like a little square with a coupon on the back for coming back and it's got fresh art on it. And then here's an about the artist card. And here's a little just like postcard. You can frame this if you want. It's 5 by 7. So here's a little freebie. There's just little things that make it just a fun experience too, that I think are
Yeah.
important.
And people love, I mean, I love stuff like that. I'm also like, I
Same.
love packaging and the little card. There's so many things I've like, this is so nerdy, but I'll get a package from even beautiful clothing or something. And like,
Hmm.
I'm like, I'll save the sticker, or like, I'll save the note
Yes.
because I think it's so pretty. So I actually think that goes a really long, or I've saved this ribbon that I thought was pretty.
Yes.
This is probably stuff I don't need to be saving. I'm like, my husband probably thinks I'm a
Well,
hoarder, but I'm like, I'm a hoarder of
no.
pretty things.
Life is hard enough. Let us keep our ribbons and stickers.
I know. So
Let
I
us have this.
stuff like that goes a really long way and it makes you
Yeah.
memorable.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, this has been great. To round us out, just any words of wisdom, words of advice beyond what you've shared, just for the
Mm.
artist that's in the thick of it right now. Maybe they're just starting out and they're like, what do I do to get to that next level or to feel like just any words of wisdom that come to mind? I'm going to leave it
Mm.
a little more open ended.
Yeah, I would say stay in your lane. It's really tough, especially with social media, to look to the left and to the right and see, oh, this person, how are they doing this? Especially for me as a mother, I see other mothers and I'm just like, how are they doing this? How do they have the time? And then it's like, well, you don't know what happens behind Instagram. You don't know. And that honestly just steals it. All it does is steal from me. It doesn't enhance anything for me at all. So it's sort of like a choosing to stay in your lane. I was driving on the highway the other day and I was thinking about the concept of staying in your lane. And I was like, I'm just going to stay in my lane because the highway can get a little, especially
Yeah,
in
in
LA.
Atlanta area.
And I was like, wow, if I just turned my wheel into the other lane right now, I would get in an accident and it would be really bad. But if I stay in my lane right now and keep my eyes locked forward, I'm going to be safe and I'm going to get to where I need to go. And this is so silly with my metaphors, but I was like, yeah, I need to think about that more with my life and with my work. I'm not going to be able to be all these different types of people, but I'm picking my lane and this is it and I'm going to stay in it. And so I think for artists who might be starting out or kind of in the thick of it and looking like left to right at how are they doing this? It's like you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know if they've got way more help than you or like just a
Yeah.
different situation. And it's stay in your lane, choose your lane, keep your blinders on, and look forward. Don't look left to right because you might get in an accident. I'm just kidding. But it doesn't benefit you. It will only hurt you if you're looking at it in that way.
I think that's great advice. And I think that's why so many people, like totally selfishly, have enjoyed this podcast and like these types of conversations because I think it takes artists like you, where you might be
Mhm.
somebody's like muse. Like someone's probably looking at your page and being like, how does she do it?
Mhm.
Like she has this beautiful artwork and she has 3 kids and she's doing all these things. And I think it's always nice to have the conversation of, okay, but like here's reality. Like I just feel like there's so many artists, and maybe this is
Yeah.
just me, but like that I've talked to and gotten to know, and I'm like, okay, you're human. You're also you're doing
Mhm.
great things and it's great to hear, but I also like I hear reality, which is really important, I think, and really nice to hear.
Oh, it's the most important. Why would, yeah, I'm very like, why would we put on a show that's not the real thing? Isn't art supposed to be the most like sincere thing?
Yeah.
But
So I
anyway.
love it. Well, this has been great. Can you share how everyone can follow you, learn more about you, all of your different pages and things?
Yeah. Yeah. So my website is just my name, Brynn, Brynn, Casey, Casey.com. You can find me on Instagram at Brynn W. There's a W, Brynn W Casey.art. And yeah, that's my, biggest, but maybe next chat I'll be like, this is my Pinterest.
You never know.
This is my big thing. But if you find me on those places, you can find me. Luckily, Brynn's a pretty unique name.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much. This has been so fun.
Thank
It's
you,
just
Haley. This has been
kindred spirits.
so
We have too much in
fun.
common.
I know, I love it. I'm so glad we got to talk. And honestly, just as like a plug for you, I was so excited when I got your email because I've
Oh my gosh.
loved following you and I've loved following your podcast and just I was like, well, maybe one day she would email me. And then you did. And
That's
so
crazy. I was kind of intimidated reaching out to you because I followed you for so long.
Isn't
And
it so
this is
silly?
what's always so crazy because I feel this way a lot about a lot of artists that I talk to on the podcast. And then we have this type of interaction. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why was I nervous to message you?
Literally, our big thing we're gonna learn is we're gonna approach things confidently, just like we
Yes,
talked about with the designers. Just let this be a case in point.
I
Brynn
love it.
was so excited and her heart was so happy when she got your email.
And I was so happy to receive it back. So this is
Goody.
great. What a great way to end. This was
I
so fun.
know. I love it. Thanks, Haley.
Well, I will
Perfect.
let you go, but have a great rest of your
Awesome.
day.
It was so nice to meet you. All
All right, I'll
right.
talk to you
Talk
later.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.